Good morning, this is Sergeant Loria. Today we're going to be conducting a class on how to practice noise, light, and litter discipline. This is a skill level 1 task found in FM 7-8. The overall risk assessment for today is low. We're in a classroom environment, so please be mindful of slips, trips, and falls. Task conditioning standards. Today we're going to be practicing noise, light, and litter discipline. Conditions. You are a member of an element conducting a tactical mission. Standards. Ensure that noise was kept to a minimum, no light was visible to the enemy, and the area was free of litter and other evidence of unit's presence. So we're going to start out with noise discipline, which is the practice of minimizing one's noise signature to a degree that it does not compromise mission essential actions is very important. This can range from a night raid on the enemy stronghold, urban reconnaissance to local supermarket, retrieving water utilizing the latrine at 3 a.m. in a secure perimeter. At night, as a sight diminished, the body attunes itself more towards gathering a sound and touch. Simple noises that were previously in the background, which daylight, are suddenly brought to a very real and close foreground at night. How do we mitigate this? Performance step number 1. Complying with noise discipline. Avoid all unnecessary vehicle and foot movement. Secure metal parts. For example, weapon sling, canteen cups, or ID tags to prevent them from making noise during movement. Do not restrict moving parts of a weapon to prevent it from operating. Talk only to conduct and explain operations, and use radios only when necessary, keeping the volume low so only you can hear it. Here are some examples of how to tie down your gear, and here is another example of a soldier using hand and arm signals to mitigate his noise through a movement. Light discipline. The practice of minimizing and completely reducing one's light signature as to mitigate at all possible detection during hours of darkness. Light discipline seems to be a no-brainer until you see a group of people trying to fumble their way around the forest in the dark. Even the smallest red lens flashlight give away your position during hours of limited visibility. How do we mitigate this? Performance step number 2, complying with light discipline. Do not smoke except when concealed from the enemy view. Note, smoking at night should be restricted as the enemy can see and smell the smoke. Conceal flashlights or other light sources so the light is filtered, for example, under a poncho. Cover anything that reflects light, such as a metal surface, vehicles, lights, or mirrors. Use all available natural concealment and camouflage all vehicles and equipment. Here's an example of what a red lens light looks like. And here's an example of what a cigarette looks like through night vision goggles. Litter discipline. The practice of continuously monitoring and properly disposing of your waste. This can range from candy bar wrappers to footprints or even human waste. This is classified as generally anything that is unnaturally occurring in a given natural environment. If it doesn't grow, it has to go. Performance task number 3. Comply with litter discipline. Take all litter, empty food containers, empty ammunition cans or boxes, old camouflage, to establish collection points. Carry all litter with you until you can dispose of it without leaving any trace. Here's an example of what not to do: leaving garbage all over your AO. Before we split up into 3 separate lanes, I would like to go over some performance measures for practicing these 3 disciplines. Performance measure number 1. Complying with noise discipline. avoided all unnecessary vehicle and foot movement, secured metal parts, preventing them from moving and making noise during movement, did not restrict moving parts for secured weapons and preventing them from operation, talked only to conduct and explain operations, and used the radio only when necessary, keeping the volume low enough for only you to hear. Performance measure number 2. Complied with light discipline. Smoked only when concealed from enemy view. Concealed flashlights and other light sources so the light was filtered. Covered anything that reflected light. Used all available natural concealment. And camouflaged all vehicles and equipment. Performance measure number 3. Comply with litter discipline. Took all litter to establish collection points. Carried all litter until it was disposed of without leaving any trace. So just to summarize, this was practicing noise and light discipline. All this information was found in skill level 1, which is the FM 7-8. And at this time, do we have any questions? If we don't have any questions, I'd like to conduct an AAR. So, what was supposed to happen? We were supposed to conduct skill level 1 class accordance to FM 7-8. What actually happened? We conducted a skill level 1 class in accordance to FM 7-8. What are some sustains and improves? One sustain will be the PowerPoint presentation. One improve will be conducting the skill level 1 class outdoors and with real world practices. Before we wrap it up, I'd like to reiterate that the overall risk assessment today is still low, so please watch your step. And if there's nothing further to add, then this concludes my brief.